All right, let's talk about security, but not in the way you might think, not as a single giant wall. We're going to look at it like a strategic game, a game against threats that are always changing. Today, we're diving deep into Ubuntu's layered defense strategy. You'll see how each layer is specifically built to counter a different kind of attacker, creating a defense that is so much stronger than just its individual parts. Let's jump in.
So first things first, let's ask a pretty huge question. Is perfect security even possible? I mean, really, can anything be 100% secure? Well, for a very brief moment in history, the answer was maybe, at least in theory. And that idea was called the one-time pad.
You see, the one-time pad was brilliant. It used a random secret key that was the same length as the message itself, and you only ever used it once. Mathematically, it's airtight. But in the real world, it was a logistical nightmare. Just imagine trying to create and securely hand-deliver all those unique keys. So the whole industry pivoted. We stopped chasing that theoretical perfection and embraced what we call practical computational security. The goal now isn't to be unbreakable in theory. It's to make breaking in so ridiculously difficult. I'm talking it would take a modern supercomputer millions of years to crack a single AES-256 key that it's, for all intents and purposes, impossible. And that idea really brings us to the heart of what we're talking about today. Cybersecurity is a high-stakes game. You're not trying to build a fortress that can withstand some imaginary, all-powerful force. No, you're building a defense that's tailor-made for the real-world adversaries you're actually up against. And the best way to do that? A security-in-depth approach with multiple, independent layers of defense. So let's start with level 1, the most common opponent you'll face, the opportunist. Now, this attacker isn't some super genius hacker with secret tools, nope. They're just taking advantage of well-known, publicly documented vulnerabilities, what we call CVEs, or common vulnerabilities and exposures, on systems that just haven't been patched yet. And this is the question that just haunts every single IT department, every manager, every C-suite executive after a breach. Because when an attack gets through using an exploit that everyone knew about, it feels different. It becomes about personal accountability. The fix was out there, so why wasn't the system protected? And here's why that question is so painful. The second a vulnerability becomes public, it is a flat-out race. The bad guys are furiously scripting exploits, and you're trying to roll out patches. But get this, according to research, the average organization takes nearly 98 days to fix a known vulnerability. That is 3 months. 3 entire months where the door is just left wide open. And this is where you can really see the difference a strategy makes. While the industry average is sitting at that scary 98-day mark, Ubuntu Pro's extended security maintenance, well, it aims to patch critical CVEs in less than 24 hours. And we're not just talking about a handful of core things. This covers thousands of packages in the main repository and over 23,000 more in the universe repository. It's a single, trusted source for getting those security updates out and fast. Okay, let's level up. What happens if the attacker isn't using a known vulnerability? What if they've got something special, a zero-day exploit? That's a flaw that nobody else knows about, which means there's no patch for it. It's the boogeyman of cybersecurity. In this scenario, patching is completely useless. It's all about containment. And Ubuntu's answer to this is AppArmor. Think of it like a digital straitjacket for every single application. It creates a strict set of rules that define exactly what a program is allowed to do, what files it can touch, what network ports it can open, and it blocks everything else. So even if a zero-day exploit manages to hit an application, its ability to do any real damage is massively limited. And you know what's great? Building these super strong security profiles is incredibly simple. Seriously, you just run your app in what's called complain mode. AppArmor just sits back and quietly logs everything your app does during its normal operations. Then you take that log, which is basically a perfect blueprint of good behavior, and you turn it into a security profile in enforce mode. That's it. So simple, but so incredibly powerful. All right, so we've got defenses for known vulnerabilities and even unknown ones at the application layer. But what about a much sneakier attacker? One who goes after the system before your operating system and all its fancy defenses even gets a chance to wake up. An attack on the boot process is one of the most dangerous things you can face. Any malware that gets in this early runs with the absolute highest privileges possible. It can hide from your security scanners because it loads before they do. And what's worse, it can stick around through reboots, system restores, you name it. This is the definition of a deep, persistent, and terrifying threat. So to fight this, you actually need 2 totally different kinds of defense working together. First, you have secure boot. Think of it like a bouncer at an exclusive club. It checks the ID of every single piece of code before it's allowed to run, making sure only trusted, cryptographically signed software gets loaded. At the same time, you have full disk encryption. This is the bank vault. It protects all your data when the system is off. So even if someone physically rips out the hard drive, all they get is a bunch of unreadable gibberish.
And now it's time for the final boss. Just imagine an attacker who has completely compromised the entire host machine. I'm talking they own the hypervisor, the host OS, or maybe they are the administrator with all the credentials. In any normal scenario, this is just game over.
But the defense against this ultimate threat relies on a huge shift in thinking. It all comes down to this idea: decoupling resource management from data access. What does that mean? It means you can have something that runs the machine but can't actually see what's running on it. This is the core idea behind something called confidential computing.
Okay, look, this is the key difference. In a normal virtual machine, you have to trust the hypervisor. It's managing all the memory and resources, so of course it can see everything. But a confidential VM or CVM totally flips the script. The hypervisor can still dish out memory and CPU time, but thanks to encryption that's baked right into the hardware, it is completely blind to the data inside the VM. It is no longer a trusted party.
This magic is possible because of new technologies built right into the CPUs themselves, like AMD's SEV or Intel's TDX. They encrypt the machine's memory in real time. The CPU itself acts as the guard, auditing every attempt to access that memory and stopping any tampering from a compromised hypervisor. And what's the result? The circle of trust. The number of things you have to rely on shrinks down to just your application and the CPU. That's it.
Whew, okay, so we've gone on quite a journey, right? We've moved through all these escalating threat levels, from the simple drive-by attacker all the way up to a completely compromised host. Let's pull back and see how this whole layered playbook fits together. This table really just lays it all out, nice and clear. For that level 1 opportunist using known CVEs, you've got the lightning-fast patching of Ubuntu Pro. For the level 2 saboteur with a secret 0-day, you've got the containment of AppArmor. For the level 3 infiltrator messing with the boot up, you've got secure boot and full disk encryption. And for that final boss, the insider or the compromised host, you have the ultimate isolation of confidential VMs. You see, every layer is designed for a very specific fight. So, in the end, you realize this isn't just a random collection of security tools. Ubuntu's security philosophy is about building a single, resilient, integrated ecosystem. It's like a symphony, where every defense plays its own critical part to create a final piece that is so much stronger and more adaptable than any one instrument could ever be on its own. Which really just leaves us with one last thing to think about. We've seen how a truly strong defense has to have layers. So the question you really need to ask yourself is, are you prepared for attackers who are thinking in layers too?